about the case and about the changes in how police go about investigating cases, the changes in ballistics and fingerprinting. There are cameras, Ron, and I was just telling Frank, and Frank's here with me. The Young Guns are here, Frank and Jimmy, and of course, good old standby, the lead singer in the house band, a 32-inch waist, 54-year-old Mark DeVecchio. Anyhow,
and we welcome all of them. Get back to what you were saying.
So the last couple cases Frank and I have done together, everything's on video now. People would be completely shocked to realize how much they are on video. It is mind-blowing. And so the general public out there, you would be amazed how much you are on video and how much that has become part of criminal cases. It really has.
And let's make a point too. The video of years ago, the black and white grainy video, is a thing of the past. I mean, when you take a look at the pictures today, it's like a photographer was there taking these pictures.
Yes and no. It depends on the lighting, the type of the camera, but there are cameras. I took a quick video. I was at the corner of Front Street and Market Street. There are pole cameras up. There are cameras on the federal court. There are cameras on the Mahoning County Courthouse. The one case I did about a year ago, they had cameras. They had 4 different camera angles of the shooting, and they weren't the greatest, but that is something that years ago we never had, and we do have now. And I find that fascinating that they have these videos and how they could follow him. And is it him? Is it not him? Some of the videos it looks like him. Some of the videos it doesn't look like him. And
now,
how the
police...
now
pause for a minute. I find that intriguing, because as I look at all of this, and you know as well as I do from what we hear, there's cameras everywhere in New York. So we see his picture with the scarf over his face. Then he took that scarf down to smile when he was checking in, and we can see his face there. They got pictures of him in the cab. So we see all these pictures, and then when they went and arrested him, I looked at it and said, that's him. It looks just like him. There's no doubt in my mind. And yet there is in yours. I don't understand it. They tracked the guy. He had the gun on him.
No. They said he had a gun on him.
He had a gun
that is consistent with the gun used in the murder. Now, if you look at the actual crime, that gun looks a little different than the gun they recovered from him. Okay? It does
look a little longer.
It does look a little longer. And now what I want to tell people out there is ballistics have changed completely now. Ghost guns. And what are ghost guns? What is ballistics? What are Daubert tests? I mean, these are all relatively new developments in the prosecution and the defense of criminal cases. So let's start with this concept called Daubert. The Supreme Court came out with a case, I don't know how many years ago it was, guys, but you can no longer just get on the stand and say you're an expert. You have to pass certain requirements in order to provide expert testimony. As a matter of fact, under Daubert, ballistics have really taken they have taken a back seat, not a back seat, but they're not as the gold standard they once were. So they said they found shell casings that were consistent with the shell casings found at the scene. Okay. But what's funny about it, Ron, is you never see the shooter's face when he's doing the shooting. We don't know how close the hostile was. They said the fake ID was consistent with the fake ID. They use this word consistent a lot. So we just don't know what we don't know yet. But I tell people, evidence is like a GPS. And so you just got to follow where the evidence takes you. Like you just said, Ron, oh, that's him. That's him. Well, that's him with the pictures they released, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's him.
But I don't think they had a picture of him.
But I'm here to say the evidence is overwhelming when you look at, was he in New York? Do they have pictures of him? Do those pictures match?
Okay, the
come on,
picture is
that-
Matt,
how do you know he was in New York?
because
think
they have
they've
a picture of
established it.
him.
Well, the picture in the hostel, that's just
Well,
assuming that
It's
is
him.
that same person.
Well, I'm going to tell you how. Apparently, they got a bottle with his DNA on it.
Mm-mm,
they got his
mm-mm,
they got his fingerprints.
No, they have a partial print. They cannot turn around DNA that fast. So the report that there's DNA, that is, I hate to use your favorite person's word, that's fake news. Okay, they cannot turn around DNA that fast. What they said is a partial smudge print could be his print. And I'm telling you, fingerprinting has become more of an art than a science. The gold standard now is DNA. So they have recovered those items, and it takes a while to process that DNA. And I don't think he's in the CODIS system, which is a national database system for DNA. So they'll get a search warrant to swab his mouth if they can get DNA off of any of the items they recovered from the crime scene. Now, here's the big thing. Supposing his DNA is not on the bottle, supposing his DNA is not on the casings found at the crime scene, okay? Supposing they don't have any of his DNA,
Protein bar wrapper.
supposing they don't have any of the DNA on that. And they found that because they traced him with cameras. They
Right.
kind of found.
Right.
But if you look at where they say they recovered that, it was blocks from where the murder was. Blocks. It wasn't. It was, they said at the crime scene. No, it was near the crime scene, not at the crime scene.
It's interesting because I think what David's getting at is this guy may very well be the guy.
He might be.
But to date, he's getting prosecuted, convicted in the court of public opinion by the media.
By the media.
And if you look at historically when that has happened before, look at the Michael Jackson case.
Yeah.
Tom Mesereau was his lawyer. And if you follow the evidence in the trial in the Michael Jackson case, it is totally different from what was presented in court. Not
Right.
what the media portrayed, what actually the jury heard. So there's always, again, this may be the guy, but you're just making the assumptions based on what the media is
And what the
giving to you
police
right
are, listen, the police are allowed to engage in chicanery. We are not. What do I mean by that? The police can go and say, hey, we'll lower your sentence if you testify against this guy. And if I say to a witness, hey, I'll give you some money or I'll pay for this if you testify, now that's obstruction of justice. The police have no obligation to give us any evidence ahead of the trial. There's no rule or anything that says the police have to release information. So you don't know what they have and what they don't have. You don't know if they have one suspect or several suspects. You don't know if they're just spitting out information to flush people out. You just don't. These are things you don't know.
Wait a second, David. When they busted him at the McDonald's,
Yeah.
Let's see, he had a ghost gun on him.
He had
a fake ID that apparently was the same name used when he checked in.
Okay,
A silencer.
Well, he
and
had a suppressor.
wait a second, and he had a manifesto on him.
But the
So how do
manifesto,
you-
wait a minute. The manifesto did not say this CEO. The manifesto is more general. Is it a piece of evidence? Yeah. Is it a heart shot? No. If that gun he had on him, okay, and they can pass the Dauber test, and any bullet fragments they can pull out of the victim and compare them to the test firing of the gun, okay, they might be able to match that up. But ballistics and the Dauber test aren't what they used to be. What would be really damning for him is if on the casings that they had, where he wrote something on the
Right.
casings,
Yeah.
if his DNA,
That's damning.
that's
That's
a
damning.
killer.
Yeah.
They can blow this case wide open, but I don't think it's blown wide open yet.
Not yet.
Not
And the press,
It's actually very defendable right now.
it's very defendable. And he's got a very good lawyer in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Guy's got a really sharp lawyer, and they're fighting extradition. And Frank and I were talking. I think that's the smartest thing to do, saying, hey, it's not me.
Yeah.
Okay, because in an
'Cause right now
what
you're
is
setting the
extradition,
defense up.
Ron? So New York, first of all, the state of New York does not have the death penalty, and they very rarely charge people with first degree murder. Although technically, this case could fit into a first degree murder. Why did they rush and charge him with second degree murder? So they can get a governor's warrant, send it to Pennsylvania, put a hold on him so he doesn't get out on bond, and then they're going to have an extradition hearing. Now, you can't fight guilt or innocence at an extradition hearing. And an extradition hearing, basically what they do is the governor's warrant valid? Is it fulfill all the checks? Yes. And is this the person who is named in the governor's warrant? That's really all an extradition hearing is. And if they find that, the judge doesn't have much choice but to extradite him back to the state of New York.
But 9 out of 10 times an extradition hearing gets waived because people want to get back to whatever state they need to as quickly as they can because they're being held without a bond. It's setting up a defense of that's not me.
Yeah.
The Altoona, Pennsylvania defense lawyer is doing his job very well, in my opinion, by fighting extradition. He's simply setting up that defense right now for either himself or whatever lawyer takes that case over.
Boy, when I look at the pictures, guys, when I look at the pictures of with the scarf over his face and when it's not, and I look at this guy,
and there's
They
also
seem to be a-
pictures there that don't look like
You're
him,
right.
Ron.
So, Ron, I'll give you one example, and I'm going to put this in a hypothetical. Just say that there was somebody in Knoxville, Tennessee, who stole something, this person did steal something from a Walmart, okay? And they did a facial recognition on this person, and they believe that this person resides in Ohio or Pennsylvania or Illinois. And they call the local police department and say, hey, do you know this person? We're looking for her. We got her on facial recognition. And the facial recognition, although it is believed to be very accurate, what hypothetically exonerated this woman was a tattoo on the right arm of the person that didn't match hers.
wait a second, just ignore that for me, because we don't need that. All right, go ahead.
All right. So what was able to get this lady out of potential trouble was a tattoo that she didn't have on the right arm. So the facial recognition was wrong. The facial recognition brought the police to this person, but the tattoo that was on this person's arm, the person that they were looking at that they believed was the perpetrator of the crime didn't have it. And there was other evidence as well. That person has never been to Knoxville, Tennessee. There's no record of him there. I'm just saying, you can't always assume just because, it's like, it's in everybody's mind right now because that's the picture they're putting out and that's how they're relating it to. And I'm not saying to you that that it's not him. It very well may be, but just the preliminary investigation, it's interesting. To Dave's point, they could tie this thing all together and it could be a slam dunk, no questions asked. But I don't think it's there yet.
I don't either. And I think the press has already adjudged him. And so this is why, look, none of the evidence, Ron, that you just stated has been subject to rigorous examination by a defense lawyer and his or her team, nor has it been subject to cross-examination. Okay. And so the question becomes, once evidence is scrutinized under cross-examination, it isn't as good as it looks going in. And so that's why we have the adversarial system. That's why we have rules of evidence. That's why we have the Dahlberg standard. But what I want to tell people out there is, first of all, your phone, Frank, how crazy is it? The last couple cases we have, the phone dumps.
Yeah.
It's just
That's going to be very telling.
That is going to be telling, but they didn't say they found him with a phone.
Anything on that yet, which is probably a smart move by the police. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Phones can
pinpoint you.
Can literally pinpoint you. Actually, like
if he had a phone
perfectly.
on him, if he took his phone.
If he did. But think about it, Ron. If this is the guy, I don't know if he's smart enough not to bring his phone if he's not smart enough not to dump the firearm that used to kill the guy.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I say. If you're dumping the phone,
Why don't you dump the gun?
Why aren't you dumping the firearm? Doesn't that sound reasonable? Like, why are you keeping the firearm if that firearm can tie you to the crime?
Right. Every movie
Why are
you
you-
watch, they dump the gun. You know.
Why are you keeping the fake ID if it's the same fake ID?
If it's
You're
the
right.
same ID.
You're right. That's absolutely correct, and that's kind
And-
of the point.
And let's assume there's a guy out there making fake IDs. You think he just makes one fake ID, or do you think he uses the same ID and sells it to various people? So these are things you just don't know yet. You got to find out who made the fake ID. You think that person that is doing fake IDs just makes one with one name? He might make 4 with the same fake everything and sell them. These are things you don't know.
True.
And so ghost guns, the United States Supreme Court has undertaken a case in this next term, and they're going to look at whether or not a ghost gun fits the definition of a firearm under the Firearm Act of 1968.
I think they will.
What?
I think they will.
We don't know.
We don't know. You're
We
right.
don't know.
Why
what they're
wouldn't
gonna
it?
do.
I mean, it shoots a bullet, right? It
Well,
could kill
yeah.
somebody, right?
So it depends on first of all, the law always lags the science. Okay. So the science is now you can make a ghost gun. The law has not caught up with, well, what do we do with them? How do we identify them? Are ballistics the same for a ghost gun as it is for a regular gun?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you are examining a gunshot wound, you are pulling a bullet out of someone. Is there enough of the bullet to make a comparison to a gun you recover? Okay.
Right.
Was this truly a ghost gun? Because most ghost guns that don't have a metal barrel, they're like a one shot and done kind of a thing,
Yeah.
because the plastic's not there yet that it can be used over again. And so if you see this horrific crime on TV, it looks like there were 2 or 3 shots. It looks like almost the gun got jammed.
Well, and I think they say he was shot multiple times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were 3 bullet
which
casings.
really is going to be another interesting issue, because like the science is so interesting on ballistics and gunshots and the trajectories, stippling, all of the things that go with like a traditional firearm case. And I don't know the answer to this, but I'm wondering, what will they be able to do scientifically with a ghost gun? Can you do the same
Right.
testing that you do if it's a legally manufactured
they
weapon?
still have to have the rifling in there.
Right.
Okay. And they're using suppressor and silencer interchangeably.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, traditionally, what happens is you either take a suppressor or a silencer and you screw it into the barrel of a weapon to suppress or to muffle the sound. But technically, a potato can silence a gun. You could literally take a potato, shove it on the end of a gun, and it's going to muffle the gunshot sound.
Okay.
So
Well, you look at we were talking about the Godfather earlier, when he wraps the end of the rifle with the
With
towel.
towel,
Yeah.
Anything can muffle a gunshot.
anything can muffle it.
But a suppressor is
A
It's
suppressor and a
sophisticated.
silencer, there's difference. Ballistics aren't what they used to be. Fingerprinting,
What's the difference between a suppressor and a silencer? Well, I mean, by definition, silence would connote no sound. Suppressor would mean to reduce the sound.
right. So both are considered firearms under the ATF. A suppressor is a firearm and a silencer is a firearm. Now, here's what a lot of people don't know. Do you know how the federal government determines whether something is considered a firearm or not?
No.
How?
There are 5 people in West Virginia in an office, and they get sent a gun or something, or a piece of a gun or a silencer, and they go, "Yep, that's a silencer. That's a firearm." 5 guys in West Virginia. They don't even talk amongst one another. I
All
won
right,
a
hang on,
silencer
guys.
case in
Hang
federal
on.
court,
Yeah.
as you know.
You'll talk more about that, and we'll take some calls with attorney David Beatrice and crew.
Had enough of this country? Ever dreamt about
Yeah,
starting your own?
Our guy
I
on
planted
that
the flag.
silencer case,
This is mine.
Leo,
I
you could
own
leave.
this.
I mean, we said it was a muzzle brake,
No country
right?
willingly
That
gives
jury
up their
instruction is
territory.
very
Oh my God,
pro
what is
defendant.
that?
Like,
Listen
if-
to Escape
if
from
the
Zakistan.
firearm or their
On America's
determination of
#1
fires
podcast
has
network,
more than
iHeart.
one
Open your
use,
free iHeart app
there
and
needs to
search
be found not
Escape
guilty.
from
That's that jury
ZAQ
instruction.
Stand.
Both the
Start
U.S.
listening.
attorney and I kind of
570
missed that
WKBN,
because we were just too
Youngstown's
much in the
news and
weeds.
talk station.
But the jury
Granting
read the
Christmas
instructions
wishes and
just-
spreading
and
holiday cheer.
they came to the right. Yeah, and they came to a quick not guilty because
So we wanted
because
to grant your
the
Christmas
ATF
wish,
ran
and we
no
wanted to help
test
out a
on it.
little
They
bit.
just looked at it and said, "Yep, this is a
What's your
silencer."
Christmas wish?
We hired an expert, and he did a test on it. He goes, "Yeah, it reduces.
Well, how
This
would
is
you
a
like to give him
muzzle.
a big hug this Christmas?
Yeah, it reduces the sound, but it also reduces the
We're
recoil.
teaming up with Chase Freedom to
90%.
celebrate
So
the
it
spirit of
qualifies,
Christmas.
in my opinion, as a muzzle,
Tell
as
us
a
what
muzzle,
your Christmas
or
wish
as
is
a,
now.
uh,
570
something that
WKBN.com.
We're gonna grant your
doesn't have the
Christmas
gun
wish.
recoil. So any experienced machine
Presented
can
by
make
Chase
silencers.
Freedom. They want to
And the
see all
ATF
of your
is
holiday
chasing
wishes
down
come
these
true. Tis
There's
the
a lot of
season
guys
to make
that
treasured
make
holiday memories with
suppressors and
those who hold
silencers and
dear.
they
The
sell them
Chase
on
Freedom
eBay.
team wishes you and yours
Yeah.
a wonderful holiday season filled with love, joy, and the warmth of giving back.
Yeah,
It's right across from the old McDonald's on Market. It's like it was a car shop.
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
And what's even more amazing is look, if they get the DNA at the scene, that's he's done.
Yeah.
It's over for him.
Listen, they're probably gonna get all that.
How
But
do they make the ghost gun?
3D printing.
3D
I
printing.
mean, that's,
But the
that's-
point is the
I find
barrel,
it amazing.
That
but the barrel, if they use the whatever it is, it's a one-shot
yeah,
thing.
well, see, that's what's interesting to me. He fired that weapon multiple times, and again, if you were to believe
What they said.
the
They
media,
said it
because,
can't.
and I don't give a shit what they do because I don't believe the media 9 out of 10 times.
Right.
I think they're totally full of shit. They skew things.
Yeah.
But he got hit in the calf, the back, so that would tell you there were multiple shots. How do you make a homemade gun that you have enough sophistication that thing is actually firing multiple rounds?
Well, if you look at it, it got jammed.
It's still firing
Our
off.
next update at 6. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, news, talk, and sports radio.
No,
Podcasts
But you still have to
too.
use a metal
Download the
barrel, though.
app. Free.
You can't,
Never
the
sounded
plastic
so
barrel
good.
after one shot.
This is former Notre Dame quarterback Brady Quinn. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by Staples Stores.
Browns owner Jimmy Haslam told reporters at the NFL owners meetings yesterday that head coach Kevin Stefanski and GM Andrew Berry are right for the team moving forward. It was non-committal, though, about the future of QB Deshaun Watson. Cavs are back in action tomorrow. They'll host the Wizards. Max Strus is expected to make his season debut there. And Week 15 of the NFL season kicks off tonight with an NFC West showdown between the Rams and Niners.
But the X-ray
I'm Scott
machine's going to
Davidson.
show a gun.
Staples has
So that's gonna
amazing
get you
deals on
fooled,
everything you need
and
for
that's
the
gonna
holidays.
get it looked
From
at.
custom
The toy
holiday
gun-
cards and photo gifts to laptops and gaming systems, even shipping solutions. And now save up to $350 on select computers. In-store only. Offer ends 12/28. Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples.
And the law, but the
Now,
law
Ron
Leo
Verb
is
on
behind
News
it.
Radio 570
It always is.
WKBN.
So
And
So
this
I don't
is
think
the legal
it
show
has
from the
gone through
Kingdom
enough
of Mahoney.
peer
Ron
review,
Verb, News Radio
scrutiny
570
to
WKBN.
determine the
Legal show brought to you
ballistics
by
on it. Now,
Beatrice
it would
Cop,
be
longest running legal
interesting. Oh,
show
we
on
back
radio.
on?
Attorney David Beatrice and Company talking about the case in New York. And at this point in time, you were saying that you think there's a good case of reasonable doubt, if you will. But I thought you were saying if there's DNA, that's the game changer. Is that accurate?
If they have, so there were shell casings. So when you fire a gun, not a revolver, what happens is the shell casing ejects, the bullet comes out, and the shell casing ejects out of the gun. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the casings they found at the scene had writings on them that were very against the insurance industry. I forget.
Denied, deposed.
Yeah,
defend.
whatever. If his DNA, if Luigi Mangione's DNA is on those shell casings, that's a really tough hurdle to get through unless someone's trying to make him the fall guy. Okay. And so there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there. Did he operate alone? Was this a lone wolf? Was he working with someone? I mean, he did some pretty remarkable things. He walked away when it's usually, Ron, a rage killing.
Mhm.
You know, they fire, they're angry, and they run. He very casually walked away, got on a bike, and went to a place in Central Park that he knew had no cameras. Now, to believe the police, he left the backpack there. Well, then he didn't leave the backpack there. I don't know whether he did or he didn't. But that was a very distinct looking backpack on that gentleman.
With Monopoly money too.
Well,
so,
we don't know if that's his backpack or not.
right.
But and my point is say you are a shooter and you know there's a camera behind you and you wear that distinct color, the black and the white backpack, you're wanting the police to see that backpack. You're like saying, here's a piece of evidence. Here's my backpack. Okay.
True.
Okay. And so, but he's sophisticated enough to leave his phone, but not get rid of the gun. I mean, you're going to take the gun with you. And then people are saying, well, maybe he wanted to be caught. Well, if he wanted to be caught, why didn't he just stay at
Should
the
have
scene?
stayed at the scene. Right.
If he wanted to be this vigilante hero, then just stay at the scene. Why go away? What I find amazing though is
Maybe to bring more attention to it. Or,
you don't know. There's a
well,
lot.
we're talking about it now.
There's I mean, there's a lot of theories out there. What I found amazing is people were commenting on my TikTok, almost condoning what he did. Look, you cannot engage in vigilante justice in America. That leads to anarchy. You cannot be the judge,
For
jury, and
sure.
executioner.
And it's pathetic in a lot of ways, right? I mean, there's two young kids in Minnesota and
Without a
and
dad.
strange wife, right? And they watched their dad get murdered on national television because once that surveillance video made the news, there's no way those young kids don't see it. And if they haven't seen it yet, one day when they're 16 or 17 or 18, they're going to see that.
Well, there's more victims than just the deceased.
100%.
Right.
And you know what? You can hate the healthcare industry. And I think there's a lot wrong with it, candidly, from my opinion, just my perspective.
Oh yeah,
right?
well, there's a lot wrong with insurance companies.
For
we
sure.
battle them all the time.
All the
That's
time.
what I
Yeah.
mean, right? It's the insurance industry. You know,
But killing that one guy isn't going to make the health
doesn't
insurance
change
industry
and
go
it
away.
doesn't make it right.
no.
Right.
Guy's a 50-some-year-old young CEO, obviously a very bright person, did very well in his professional career, and he gets
Are
killed.
there any
because
theories
he's
as to
at the
why
top
he
of
was
the-
targeted?
Because he's a CEO.
Because he's a CEO.
That's
Well,
just-
that's
That's the
theory.
assumption.
That's the
Right.
assumption.
I mean, if you read the notebook or the manifesto. I
Yeah,
mean,
somebody
that's-
has to die. Sometimes somebody has to die.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's pathetic.
So we have and I don't want to get into a political thing, but the model for insurance companies is to take in more than they pay out. That's their business
Right.
model. Okay. And so people are upset with a health insurance that places profits over people. And there's some truth to that criticism.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you go out and kill people that work. He's
In that
hired by
industry.
shareholders to do a job.
Yeah.
He's doing his job.
Right.
Okay. His job is to be profitable for that healthcare company. So maybe we should change that healthcare companies shouldn't make profit off of people's health. Maybe that's an argument we should have, but to go out and kill someone to make that point, that's unacceptable.
Yeah,
Unacceptable.
Right.
Unacceptable. It cannot happen in this country, and we cannot condone it happening in this country. Ron, do we have any calls, by the way?
Yes, we do. Let's take some of them. And
All
and so we're talking with attorney David Beatrice and crew. The Legal Show brought to you by Beatrice Cop, News Radio 570 WKBN, and you're on the air. Hello.
Yes, sorry, Ron.
Yes, comment, please.
Yes. Put me off guard. I had a question about pardons, and I'd like to know legally how you can pardon someone for a crime not committed.
Well, I'm not so sure the United States Supreme Court has ruled on that yet, but the pardon power is pretty plenary for the President of the United States. And so
Well,
you can issue blanket pardons. Now, whether or not the Supreme Court will put parameters on it and say you can't pardon someone for a crime they've not committed yet, I don't know.
Wasn't it like 1,500 pardons though? What was the number of
Well, no,
pardons?
what the big
well,
criticism is.
I'm talking about the ones that he wants to pardon ship and
Yeah.
some of the scrupulous.
These
players
blanket
that-
pardons, yeah. So
Right.
that's up in the air, Dave. You're saying with the Supreme Court, maybe?
Well, yeah, but look, the new president-elect's coming in, and he's going to say he's going to do wholesale pardons for the January 6 people. Look, is the presidential pardon power something maybe we should relook at and put parameters on it? Perhaps.
Yeah.
But
All
it's
right.
there now. Let's take another call, Ron.
All right. You're on the air with attorney David Beatrice and Company. Hello.
Okay, so I'm a widow with 2 children. I have everything in transfer on death. And people tell me I need a trust. Do I? Why?
Well, here's what I suggest you do, caller. You make an appointment with an estate lawyer and show that. I don't think you do. It depends on how big your estate is.
Right.
But, we got rid of the estate tax in Ohio. So there is no Ohio estate tax. And unless you're at a
It's
12
not that big.
Okay, unless you're at $12 million, there's no federal estate tax.
No.
And so if you have payable on death accounts, those are going to transfer without it. The problem is there might be some property that you haven't thought of, like your household goods and furnishings, fine jewelry, art pieces, anything like that. Who's going to get what? Because I'm going to tell you something. One of the worst things that can happen is when children fight over parents' possessions.
Dave, let me ask you this on her behalf. If they're telling her to put a trust together, it might not have anything to do with transfer on death. It might be trying to protect her property from nursing home.
That's what
Yeah.
it is. That's 100% what it is.
Yeah, but
Well,
it has to be
I have long-term health care insurance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you're
But-
you're
yeah,
it's
you
not-
should be okay.
You
I
should
mean,
be okay,
If
but
I have to go that way.
but listen, call Johnson & Johnson 330-533-1921. This is the kind of work they do regularly, and they'll be able to help you out on that. Okay.
Thank you for your call. You're
Thank you
on
for
the
your
air.
call.
Hello.
Hello, am I on the air?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I was in a car accident on November 3rd, and car went left the center, drunk driver allegedly. He got cited for the accident, got taken away in handcuffs. I am now, he's not talking to Progressive, their insurance company, and since then I have had no contact with them to let me know how we're going to progress with my car.
Why
I
haven't
lost
you
my
hired a
work.
lawyer?
Pardon me?
Why were you injured?
I missed 5 days of work.
Okay, you missed 5 days of work. Were you injured? You had to be injured to miss 5 days of work, right?
Yeah.
Why haven't you hired a lawyer?
Because I was figuring how when I was talking with them, they kept saying that, well, we got away from the call, we got away from the call, we got away from the call.
No.
And
They're just
that's the
look.
reason why I
Look,
haven't.
we
I'm
were
hoping
just
that we
talking
wouldn't
about
have to do something like
caller.
that.
We were just talking about insurance companies, weren't we? We
I
battle
know,
with
I
them.
heard you. I
We
heard
battle
exactly
with
what you
them
said.
every day. Do you think they're on your side? Do you think they're your good neighbors? You think they want to give you the piece of the rock? Their business model
No,
is to pay out less than what they collect for their shareholders. So you need someone that's going to fight to get you what you deserve. Your greater likelihood is you're going to get paid more fairly with a lawyer as opposed to without a lawyer. And with that, we'll take another call, Ron.
All right. You're on the air with attorney Beatrice. Hello.
Hey guys, I know what you're saying, that you guys are doing your lawyer thing, about the shooter, but the fake ID has the same name on it as he used at the hospital, at the place he stayed in New York. He's got a manifesto that says you snuff a CEO. He's got the same kind of gun. He was ranting when they were taking him in the police thing.
Okay.
But I think you guys got to get a grip, man. This guy's guilty, and I
Okay,
think the
so-
evidence
so-
is overwhelming.
Okay, but that's what we have juries for, right? And the burden of proof is on the
Yeah.
government. Okay, everyone thought that Daniel Penny, remember the guy
The
who
subway.
the subway. Everyone thought he was guilty,
Yeah.
and the
He got
jury
acquitted.
he got acquitted.
I don't think everyone thought he was guilty. I think
That
more people
was-
thought he
that was
wasn't guilty.
different. That's totally different. I mean, you gotta. You say that we're not even close yet, and we are close. The evidence is overwhelming. guys.
Who
That's all
says
I'm saying.
who says the evidence is overwhelming?
Where did you come to that conclusion?
The news?
The news?
Yeah, from what he sees, the pictures.
From what the police released?
But you don't know
No,
if that's
from-
you don't know.
Yes, what the police released.
Listen,
the
it
shells
may
are the
be-
same.
It may be.
name on
No. They
Who's
didn't.
go-
Listen,
Who's going to
call.
have a fake ID with the same name on
Call-
it as
call-
the one he used in New York?
Okay, well, if you are a
Same
fake
name.
ID maker, maybe you make more than one just fake ID with one fake name. Maybe you make 5 of them and sell them to 5 different people.
And they put the picture in.
Caller, I
So
get
it's
your
just,
point. I get your point.
It's just a coincidence that he had the same one with the same name on it, right?
You may be
They said it was
1,000% right.
consistent. They didn't say it was the same one yet. If you got to read the stories carefully. They said the gun is consistent with the gun at the scene. The ID is consistent. The smudges are consistent with his fingerprints. They don't have DNA.
Okay, guys.
They don't have a confession. They don't have a facial shot of him doing it. I mean, why would you do this crime, have a very distinct backpack on, go into a place in Central Park where you know there's no cameras? These are indications to me that this person did not want to be caught.
Yeah,
So-
I know, I understand all
All right,
that.
so
You're
if
saying
you
it's
do
very
not want to be
defendable. I
caught-
don't think it is very defendable, but
If you do
I'm
not
a
want to
lawyer,
be
so-
caught, why are you keeping the gun with you?
All right. Next call with Attorney Beatrice and Company. You're on the air.
Yes, my wife works for a company that'll give out $75 gift cards each quarter. There's no accidents at the company. But the catch is they take the $75 out of their own pay and give it to them. Are they allowed to do that?
What? No, I mean, look, here's the problem. That's crazy.
Insane.
But Ohio, like many states, is a right to work state. So if you complain about it, they could fire you. Because in Ohio, they could fire you, and most states, they could fire you unless she's in a union or has a collective bargaining agreement or has a contract. They could fire you for a good reason, a bad reason, or no reason whatsoever. So do I think that's crappy? Yeah. And if she complains about it and they fire her, can she sue to get her job back? No. She can get unemployment.
Well, what, hold on here a second. It's her paycheck. It's her who
Right.
gives them the right to take any of her money and give her a gift card for it. If they want to give her a gift card, use your money. You don't have a right to take
Okay,
out of my
I-
paycheck.
I agree with you. And so she can complain, and then if she does,
Well,
and
what's
they-
the legality of this, though? Forget the complaining. Is it legal for them to take money out of her paycheck? that
as
she's
long as
supposed
they
to be
are
paid?
paying her minimum wage, yes.
Oh my! All
Okay.
right. Thank you.
How
caller.
about the poor McDonald's employee that turned this guy in?
Yeah.
They're saying now that she's not entitled to the $10,000 from the New York City Police Department.
I thought it was 60.
Oh, it's 50 from the FBI, but that's arrest and conviction.
Okay.
The tip line, because they didn't use because she called the Altoona Police
No, I'm
Department.
with you, but we don't know that for
No,
sure.
I'm just telling you that is a fact that the New York Police Department. Now, I think if she raises enough of a stink, they're going to give her the money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But that's
'Cause
really
they're gonna
crappy.
get crucified in the court of public.
That's going to be a bad law school case here pretty soon.
It is going to be a bad law school case.
Next call with our attorneys. You're on the air. Hello. Line 3. Hello. It's attorneys David Beatrice and Company. The legal show brought to you by Beatrice Cop. News Radio 570 WQN. Hello. Not there. Next line. You're on the air.
Yes, I bought a 2017 vehicle with a salvage title. Am I entitled to any warranty claims on this vehicle?
You bought what?
He could probably buy a warranty.
Not with a
Bought a
salvage.
No,
vehicle
no, with
with
a
a
salvage
salvage
title. No.
Yes, what it was is one of these Hondas. It was stolen, okay? So the insurance company listed it as a salvage title.
Okay. And what's your question?
Oh. Does the original warranty still stay with this vehicle, or
Well, it's
am I
over
out
with.
of
It's
the
set.
warranty?
It's 8 years old.
Yeah,
I don't
expired.
know. It expired.
And I don't think they insure those cars anymore.
No, I think you're out of luck.
All right. You're on the air with our attorneys. Hello.
I got 2 quick questions. First of all, can you pardon somebody that hasn't been charged with a crime? And the second one is, you mentioned that they could track your phone anywhere in the country. They know where you're at. But how do they know you are holding the phone? Just like the speed cameras, they can't give you points off your license because they can't prove you're driving the car.
They don't.
They don't. They don't know that you are using
They just
that
can
phone.
track your phone. They don't know for sure you're using it.
I have a
So
case
how
right
would
now.
you-
I have
Listen, hang on, caller. Go ahead.
I have a case right now where the only evidence against my client is his phone is in the car that kidnapped someone. That's it. and I'm defending it, saying, okay, you can convict his phone. You can't put him at the scene. And I know this sounds crazy, but a lot of people let other people use their phones. That's like, if you don't have access to a regular cell phone and someone says, hey, can I use your phone for a couple of days? You give it to them, that can get you into a lot of trouble. But what you don't realize is, beyond just them tracking it, the European Union has done a much better job than America in protecting our privacy. There are data brokers out there right now that are collecting information on your phone and selling it. That's why when you go onto YouTube, you get certain ads and you don't get certain ads. That's all done through data collection and them having access to it. Now, there are things you could do with your phone to prevent that, but I think we need to increase the privacy of our cell phone and our information just to the general public. You'd be surprised, caller, how much of your information is out in the stratosphere. It would blow your mind.
All right, thank you. You're on the air with our attorneys. Hello.
Hello. Just to clarify, that the gentleman that called about the gift card, he must have been confused, because I'm sure that the company wasn't deducting it out of their paycheck, but they're claiming it as income. Therefore, they're withholding. It goes on the withholding table, their paycheck. Therefore, her paycheck is slightly less because she received that $75 that they are considering.
It could be that, or they could just be, as long as they are paying her the minimum wage. I agree with you. It's a crappy, but I think what you're saying is probably more accurate, that they are deducting taxes from her for the gift card.
Correct.
Right.
That's
I mean, you
probably
it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that probably does make a lot more reason. Thank you for calling in, caller.
All right.
Ron, one of the longest serving legal talk shows in the United States of America. Ron, how about that? How long have you and I been doing this, Ron?
Well, we're
34
we're getting
years.
close to 35 years.
Yeah.
All
Every
right,
Thursday night from 5 to 6. Go ahead. We have any more calls, Ron?
Yes, we do. With attorney David Beatrice and Company, the legal show brought to you by Beatrice and Cop, News Radio 570 WKBN 551. You're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
I'm reading a book right now called Red Handed. It's written by the same guy that wrote Clinton Cash. And they're showing many ties with Hunter Biden to the Chinese taking money. And some of the people are involved with Chinese intelligence agencies and whatnot. And they're definitely compromising our country. And not only Hunter Biden, but Democrats and Republicans.
Okay. What is your question?
Question is, can I write a book and lie and not be brought to...
If you call it fiction...
I mean, why haven't they checked all that stuff out that's in this
You
book?
don't think they've checked all that out?
true,
Really? You don't think the Republicans...
to be hung for treason.
Okay, well... Okay, see, this is just, it's getting... Ron, let's take another call. I just don't want to get political on this. Hung
right.
for treason. You
You're
don't think
on-
they looked at all of this? Just because someone writes a book or does a documentary doesn't make it true or accurate. Next caller, Ron.
You're on the air with our attorneys.
And it gets vetted before it gets published.
Yes, go ahead.
Provided it's a legitimate publisher.
Right. Yeah.
Caller, hello.
Yes. Earlier, you mentioned something about the gun looking different. It would look longer or shorter. I don't know which.
Yes.
And you were questioning whether, why would he have not held on to the gun? Well, what if he's smarter than we think and he had two guns and he did throw away the one that he used and held on to the other one to make it look like...
Could be true.
And to be able to prove that, hey, this is
And that wasn't the gun that did the shooting,
Sure.
right?
You're 100. That absolutely is possible.
Yeah. Well, you should write it. You should write a fiction novel.
That's brilliant.
That is.
It could be in the East River.
Here's one thing I know. Whoever did that shooting wanted to be seen with that backpack. He wanted to see. He wanted the police to see.
They wanted to leave a message. They want,
No, but the backpack was so distinctive. Okay, so is it to throw them off, or is it to get caught, or is it someone else?
It seemed very calculated.
Well, that's why you write on the casings
Right,
and that's
but-
why, you
but-
know.
but-
But
most-
if you wanted to get away with it, what David's saying, if you wanted to just get away with it, okay, he did a very good job of keeping his face away from cameras during the shooting.
And then
he's never caught coming the other way.
Right.
Right? His back's to it. You can't see his face. He's covered up. And he's wearing things that they can identify. Those same things that they can supposedly identify, he's caught with.
Well, I don't know, because supposedly,
I'm with you. I'm saying though, that's what makes it's interesting.
yeah, that's what makes it, you know, it's just, look, at this point, look, they're going to continue to chase leads down. And people, here's what I tell them. People are saying, well, what about the wife? Or what? Because he, I guess, was separated from his wife. Here's what I could tell you. When a spouse dies or a boyfriend dies, the number one suspect is always the spouse or the boyfriend until they're not. So I just hope that the police don't get tunnel vision. We've seen this happen in so many cases. This is our guy. We're going to make this fit because we think it's him, instead of chasing all the leads and letting all the leads either die or going with all the leads. So we don't know what they know. I know they're working it very copiously, and hopefully they'll come up, and it is going to be subject to an American courtroom. You know, when the Kyle Wittenhauser case, a lot of people were upset about that acquittal. I had no problem with that acquittal. He faced the jury. The jury acquitted him. That's our system. Okay.
So you're saying no. I guess if you're familiar with this attorney in Pennsylvania, that he's got a really good
he's got
attorney.
he's got a really good lawyer. Yeah, the guy's solid. The guy in Altoona is solid. I call him the Dave Beatrice of Altoona, PA.
I thought you said he had a good attorney.
Oh, really, Ron? Really? You're gonna tease me like that?
Yes, I am.
How
Yes,
about
I
that
am.
one article called me? I gave up. Dad.
Oh, let me read that. I happen to have that with me. I want to read that because that is the best part. I want everybody to hear this, what the one article said, and it is a great thing. Let me see here. Having worked on numerous murder trials, consider the fact that he's a father of three who does give off a bit of a dad energy, which adds a little fatherly charm. There you go.
And they called me an older gentleman. You know, I didn't mind the older
Well,
part.
that's all true.
I didn't mind the older part. The
Mind a
gentleman.
gentleman? Yeah.
Gentleman.
You are an older gentleman with a dad body, too.
Oh, there we go, Ron.
Well, you know, I
Oh, boy.
I thought the author described you quite well.
Well, thank you.
I
very much,
really do.
Ron.
So, the videos that you're posting on TikTok,
TikTok and
you know,
Instagram, and my
so
Instagram.
people,
Yeah, if they want to
can
go there,
subscribe to that, right?
yeah,
So
they
that
could
can
just
get
go
them.
and I'm commenting as the evidence is coming out. They said, oh, they found DNA. No, DNA cannot be turned around that fast. They found a fingerprint. They found a smudge of a fingerprint, and that's more art than science. They found a gun that resembles the gun. They found an ID that resembles the ID. It's, you know, they look, this case and this evidence has not been subject to grueling cross-examination. They may have the right guy, but I want to tell people this, and I want to tell you this, Ron. Think of evidence as a GPS. Eventually, you're going to get someplace, and you hope that it is the right place with the right information. But sometimes, Ron, your GPS takes you to the wrong place. Okay? And so all I would tell the people out there is don't rush to judgment yet. Let this case play out and see what happens. Everyone in this country is presumed innocent by our Constitution. This gentleman, Luigi Mangione, right now, he has a presumption. He has a cloak of innocence on him. And until the government rips it off by proof beyond a reasonable doubt, he is entitled to you, me, and everyone else of the presumption of innocence. For you to say, oh, just take him out and hang him, that's not our system. That's
All
not how
right.
we do things in this country.
There you go. Every Thursday, 5 o'clock.
All right.
It's Dave Beatrice and Company, the legal show brought to you by Beatrice Cop. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Ron.
Appreciate it. On News Radio
All right.
570
What's the good
WKBN, we'll
news?
be back after this.